This is my grandma, Margi or Jima Dechenne. She is 70 years old, married, and the mother of 5 children. In her lifetime, she has done many jobs, but she has worked with the homeless since 1983. In her free time, she likes to bake, quilt, and watch baseball. What does faith in a higher power mean to you?
When I was growing up, faith in a higher power was just part of my childhood. I was raised Catholic, and I went to Catholic school, and so I had very deeply religious mom and dad, and grandparents, and so it didn't mean anything big to me until my adulthood, when I started having more serious questions about things. Now it means to me that I need to take action, that I need to, and being Catholic is not just going to Mass or going to confession or observing the rules of my church, but it means to really reach out, to do the things that Catholic social teaching instructs us to do, that we need to reach out to the poor, that we need to follow Catholic social teaching.
All right. Why do you think it's important for people to have a religion or faith life?
I think it's hard to go it alone. We have families who support us, and if we're fortunate, and friends to support us, but there are some things that our families can't do for us. Those deep questions and doubts that we have about ourselves can only be soothed by God. And so there have been times in my life when one of my favorite writers, Anne Lamott, wrote that the most sincere prayers are thank you, and help me. And so that was the nature. I prayed the rosary with my family as a child, and I remember being asked one time about what, don't those prayers, they're just rote, you just say the words, But in my adulthood, I found that when I pray the rosary, when I say the Hail Mary, for example, it's kind of a meditation kind of thing. I feel like I go into a deeper kind of prayer when I say those comforting prayers of my childhood. So it's like, it's the prayer that's meaningful to me, and I pray every day.
Yeah. Well, what has the most significant event of your faith life been, and why?
I met a man named Orpheus Johnson in the 1970s. I was teaching English in a prison in Minnesota, and wondering what might have happened if those inmates had someone intervene in their lives when they were younger people, that they perhaps wouldn't have ended up in prison. Orpheus ran a rib joint, and I met him in his restaurant, and he was giving people food, and he was instructing kids to go back in the restaurant with sleeping bags and things. And when I got up to leave, I asked him, I said, what is this place? And he told me that he was trying to start a program for homeless street kids in Minneapolis, because the pimps were getting them, and he was seeing them at risk of their lives every day, and was worried about them. And I said, oh, that's really cool. And he goes, well, I'm starting the street outreach program, and come and help me. And I was not intending to get involved, but I gave Orpheus my real phone number only because my boss and coworkers were standing next to me, and I didn't think fast enough to give him a fake number, but neither was I courageous enough to say, oh no, I'm not really interested. And so I ended up going to this meeting that Orpheus had, and the next thing I knew, I was a street outreach worker. And I didn't know people of faith who were not Catholic when I was growing up. Everyone I knew was Catholic. I went to school with Catholics, and Orpheus was a Baptist. And I loved it. It was a revelation to me that people who were not Catholic could also have a deep faith. It sounds so silly to say now, but by the 1950s and 60s and 70s, we only hung out with each other, you know? And so that changed my life, and it changed my faith life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was one of the best things that ever happened to me, was meeting Orpheus.
What do you wish someone would have told you about life when you were my age?
That all things pass. You know, I think when I was 14 and when I was 15 and when I was 16, in the moment, what was happening in that moment was crushing or ecstatic. And I wish I would have known that everything passes. I had a dear friend commit suicide at the age of 18. And it was devastating to everyone around him. And I know that he was not able to see that what he was going through right then was ephemeral, that it wasn't going to be forever. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I wish I would have known. That everything didn't need to weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. What words of wisdom would you like to share with me today?
Oh, words of wisdom. I guess look for people who could teach you something. I have many of those people in my life, and you find them in very unexpected places.
Yeah.
I work with homeless women now, but when I worked with youth, I learned so much from them, and now every day I learn so much from the homeless women that I work with. I had a friend who became homeless after a life as a stockbroker and after being a wealthy woman. And she told me that she was amazed one day to be standing on the street and getting advice from an alcoholic woman who had no teeth. And then she said that she learned really important things from this woman. And so I guess that my word of wisdom is don't, like all of our mothers tell us, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
There's wisdom everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely something I'll take into account.
Okay?
Thank you. I think that wraps it up.
Okay. You're welcome. Don't get me itching my nose down.